Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Review Crew. We are The Review Crew, and I see some familiar faces here in the crew. There's just four of us because we're going to talk about two albums each, so I'm keeping it to just four of us. Some familiar faces like Rick Labonte, he's here.
You're
Ryan Scow, he's here. They're here a lot.
Jeez.
And we got Nick Franco's in the house. He made it. He made
You
it.
made it.
There
Yes.
he is.
So I think we got an interesting show for you today or tonight. And we got some new releases, some from 2025, believe it or not, that we want to talk about. So we're going to start with Rick and see
Okay.
what the first album he has that he wants to talk about. Go ahead.
Okay. So I have one of each. I got this from 2024 and 2025. So I say that last. This one was actually sent by Pete, and by the time it got to me, it was like mid-December, and so it was kind of like a Christmas gift or whatever. He knew that I liked the bands like Shallow Gallery. He knows I follow a lot of bands like Dream Theater and Fate and Warning and stuff like that. So he recommended this album. It's called Harpazo. That's how it's pronounced. It's a biblical term, meaning to be snatched or taken away. And basically, it's a supergroup made of all kinds of progressive art rock band that put into the whatever the instrument they play, they contribute to this album that took 15 years to get, and it's called the I hope I pronounce it right, The Crucible. And it's basically a concept album. And it's kind of a sci-fi thing too, about, revelations, if you will, the end of the world, I guess chaos all the way around the world, so to speak, and people surviving this big revolution that's going on. Some people call it like Christian rock, Les Miserables stuff because it got some Bible references. I don't know. But I enjoyed the music. I have followed the story. It's kind of like open for interpretation. So, it's one of those loosely concept album. I'm sure it's a lot more depth for the people who wrote it. But for me, I just love the music. I love the singing. I love everything. It got all the what you like about progressive metal, the musicianship, the exciting tempo from acoustic, light and shade, heavy, speed, but clean vocals all the way through. And it's a pretty decent record. And it's not like some concept albums double album or anything like that. It's a single length album. It goes by like really quick because the songs are there, but it's one of those things that we've talked about before many times that you got to listen to it in its entirely to appreciate it. You know what I mean? It's like one big giant song, like Thick as a Brick or something like that from Jethro Tull, where to appreciate all the elements and all the dynamics, you want to hear the whole record. You know what I mean? It's not something you can put off on a couple of singles, though I'm sure they could. There's some strong material. But to me, to get to the experience. You listen to it from start to finish, and it's one of those records. And let me read some of the band, some of the star power they have here. I mentioned Shallow Gallery, one of my favorite progressive rock bands like Symphony X and Dream Theater. But there's other bands like Royal Hunt, Blood Good, Fate Warning, Warlords, Sacred Warrior, Narnia, The Lord of the Lost. And it really is a rock opera, right? Because it's some singing characters, people doing lines, if you will. And if it might not be your thing, but if you like Neil Morris, you like Dream Theater, you like kind of that kind of stuff, a lot of uplifting, very symphonic music in a way, but it's definitely metal. It definitely got great guitar work, great drummers, and so it's an all-star cast. And so a super group, if you will. And I think Pete knew that I would appreciate it because of Shadow Gallery would be a good reason right then and there. But it's a really cool album, got great art. The lyrics are pretty decent. It even got scripts about who's singing what, the characters in there. So it really is a rock opera. And unlike, Tommy, sort of a narration, once in a while you get Roger Daltrey playing a part, or if they do Uncle Ernie or something like that. This is actually broken down in characters, or people have lines and they got to sing it. So Anyway, I think it's a really good record. It was out in June 24th, what I understand, but it didn't really get throughout the world by the fall. And so I got it in my hands in December. And like I told Jamie in a few episode ago, Canada Post was on strike, so I had to wait a couple months to get caught up to all this CD that came at my door just before Christmas. And this is the package that Pete gave me, and uh, and I'm glad he did. I really enjoyed it. It would have ranked a little. It would have definitely been in my top 50 album because it really is a good listen. And for anybody can appreciate progressive metal, like some of the people on this panel, you would say it's definitely good music. Whether you agree with the concept, if you're not into concept albums, that might be something that might turn you away. But for me, I enjoyed it, and I don't mind watching or listening to a soundtrack of a movie, so to speak, and hearing the dialogue along the way. But it's vocally, like it's sung, right? It's not, and it's done in clean vocals the way I like my progressive metal. So anyway, I think it's really good, and I enjoyed it. If I were to rank it, it would 3.5 or 4.5 for the concept of it is, you know what I mean? But is it the best concept album or any, that I've ever bought and listened to? No, but I think it's well done. It's kind of one of those things that I'm proud to put it in my collection because it really is entertaining. And it's something I've kept bending on once in a while because the musicianship is that good. And I'm a big time fan of that kind of stuff, an arrangement, and I can appreciate when songs blend in and they have a sort of an overture and all that kind of stuff, themes that come back up in an album, like Dark Side of the Moon would do, in any concept album. This is like that throughout the whole thing. So it goes by really quick because it's pretty entertaining.
All right.
Moving on.
Moving on, Ryan.
All right, so gave some thought to what I wanted to talk about today, and I picked two albums, and I guess I'll open it because both albums, what I'm going to say next applies to both of these albums. I know people in both of these bands. Full disclaimer: I only really like reviewing albums I really, really like because I'm just joyful and happy about music. So I don't get anything from like reviewing an album and I don't like. I'd rather not talk about it because maybe somebody else likes it. So having said that, most of the newer metal bands I like, modern bands, there's a bit of a conundrum for me when it comes to newer bands because I do like older sounds. I like the sound of how metal used to be, and I appreciate that. And that's just my personal favorite. Nothing wrong with like newer, more contemporary things, but it's usually not where I go. I like stuff of more of a vintage sound. But the
Right.
conundrum that I have is I want newer bands that like drink from that same well of that old sound. But the thing is, when you go back to like say 84, 85, 86, and you take bands like, Rick mentioned Fate Sworn, you also take like Celtic Frost, Maiden, Metallica. These bands were original, they were forward reaching, and because of that, the music had a very it was like fearless. It was very fearless. It was often very brash, very bombastic. I think that same ethos that informed their songwriting and ultimately informed the songs, and that's why I remember this stuff. So now the conundrum is I get a lot of new bands that want to sound old, like, we want to sound old school, which is fine, but they automatically, a lot of them to me, put like a ceiling on themselves. Like, we want to sound like Iron Maiden in 1984. And then it's like, boom, there's a ceiling you can't go through. And it's like putting like a self-limitation on yourself. And I think that a lot of times I hear these bands and I'm like, the songs are often like more neutered. And what else would I say? I like neutered and kind of muted a little bit. And it lacks like the vibrancy of the originals. Um, so it's almost like walking a tightrope to find new bands that have that same feel and sound, but don't, succumb to those, I guess, limitations. Now, of course, this isn't universal, and I don't want to yuck anybody's yum, but as the expression goes. But yeah, it is a challenge because I'll hear a band and I'll be like, check this band out. It sounds like I don't know, Angel Witch or something, and I listen to it. I'm like, well, it does sound like Angel Witch, but it's like a copy of a copy. It lacks the feeling in the like the spirit. So having said that, the two bands I'm going to talk about have older sounds, but into my opinion, they don't fall into that trap. So the
They
first
have the
band,
spirit.
the first band to me is this came out about 2 weeks ago. I've been friends with the guitarist for quite a while, just to throw that disclaimer out there. They are from London, but the members of the band are from Spain, Greece, Poland, and Sweden. So it's a very international act. The band is called Necromaniac, and the album name is Sciomancy, Malediction, and Rites Abominable. So what does this sound like? This is just old school, proper, evil fucking metal. And it's almost like a blanket statement because these guys don't really pigeonhole themselves like, it's like black metal 1992, or it's like Bay Area thrash, or like Florida death metal. Like they really very successfully avoid pigeonholing themselves. But the one thing they do very well is like just have that old evil feeling of like, I actually, if I have to compare it to some stuff, early Celtic Frost does come to mind, early Mayhem, uh, maybe a little more of a modern reference, but if you know the Australian band Vomitor and the Swedish band Niflheim, it kind of has that feeling to it. So it is. It's like a mix of thrash metal, a little death metal, a little black metal. There's some slower parts to give it like a doomy feeling, but I don't want to say the phrase doom metal because it's not that, but it just has that creeping horror movie feel to it. Uh,
Like Venom.
and there's a little venom in there too. It kind of has
Yeah,
that
'cause they
recklessness
got
to
that
it.
doomy, but it's not doom music, but they got that darkness.
A
It
sense of
does.
doom.
And one of the things they do is they don't get lost up their own ass in like these moods. Like they always remember to keep it fucking metal, which is bands do kind of get that. They do too much. It gets too theatrical. It gets too many, synths and stuff, and they
Hmm.
kind of go, disappear in there. And it can become very like bombastic. But you're like, you want that ultimate like fist in the air, like smashing on the table, like 1985 Slayer feel, which they do. They captured it heavily. So this is their first album, and they formed in 2011. So they took their time. They
Wow.
did a demo in 2015, which is the first time I heard them, and I heard this demo, and it actually reminded me a little of my favorite album ever, which is Hell Awaits by Slayer. It kind of had that evil feel, but like that total like relentless thrashing to it. Then they did a two-song 45 in 2018, and then nothing until now. So they really took their time on this, and it paid off because what happens here is now that you have a much wider palette, you have very varied songwriting. Like Rick actually just said, like the album opens with a certain musical theme, a motif. And when the last song comes around, which is the longest song on the album, the song kind of ends and has this crescendo and it goes back to that same opening motif. I love that kind of shit.
Me
Uh,
too.
and you don't usually see that in like black and death metal. They don't really go for
Oh,
that kind of. It's more of a prog rock thing, but these guys do that. Like that same guitar line start to come back in, and actually Hell Awaits did it too. Hell Awaits kind of the very last song, "Harden of the Arteries," brings back the opening of the intro track or title track, "Hell Awaits." So it happens, but I don't know if that was a direct influence, but it's cool, right?
yeah.
There's a lot of bombast. Uh, they bring in speaking of Celtic Frost, they use very effective use of timpani drums. So you have that big bombastic boom, boom, which I love. An underused thing in metal. You get the bands thrashing away, and you get the guy in the back with the big fucking timpanis just blasting away on those. Kind of measured and like properly paced, but it adds like this big feel to it. It makes it very big sounding. The production on the album is fucking awesome. Like for this kind of metal, it's like raw and very necro and evil, but you can hear the bass, you can hear the guitars, the drum, everything's clear in the mix. It's clear. There's good definition in the sound field, so it doesn't get like muddy or lost up its own
Hmm.
ass. Which actually is like Venom, because people always bagged on Venom for sounding like shit, but you listen to old Venom and you can hear everything perfectly.
Yeah.
Everything everybody's doing is like really like easy to pick out of the production, even though it's kind of like messy and muddy, but it's not like lost, doesn't disappear. Uh, the vocalist Carl is a spends a lot of time, in my understanding, learning about and reading about occult subjects. So for this kind of band, again, the lyrics deal with necromancy, death rituals, the occult, and they're interesting lyrics. I'm going to say for a lot of these bands, even bands that like Deicide and stuff, the lyrics tend to be like a little juvenile, like stuff you'd scroll on like a high school desk. There's actually you can read these and there's some real thought and I guess like real literary sense put into them. Uh, yeah, so it conjures to me this album conjures up the feeling of like the real greats of this style of metal without sounding like them. So I can't be like, this sounds just like Mayhem or just like Slayer because it doesn't. They really have their own thing going on.
Right
Um,
on.
I'm going to say there's like really the interplay between the guitarist and the drumming is awesome. I really like it. It's one of the things that drew me to this band. The way the two kind of like go back and forth with each other, they're locked in pretty tight, is awesome. The vocals are great. There's a great guest appearance. I will not say his name. He's credited as a corpse without soul. He is my personal favorite contemporary black metal vocalist. If you hear him singing and you're into underground black metal, you'll probably pick out who it is, but I'm not going to say his name. Uh, so if I had to recommend it for people, if you do like old Mayhem, old Celtic Frost, the Possessed, uh, Sarcophago from Brazil, that kind of stuff, I think you will like this album a lot. It's on Invictus Productions from Dublin, and in the States you can get it from at the Adjunct Offensive, and it's easily bought online. You can go on Bandcamp. It's not a hard album to find. It's in a lot of distros, so any place you get your underground metal from, you should be able to buy this. And yeah. I've been waiting for this for quite a while. So even when I first heard it, I'm like, this is gonna be my favorite album of 2025. It currently is, and I don't see anything topping that. So
How
yeah,
did you how did you discover that band? Like Pete sent me this. I wouldn't have found this on my own. How did you get that?
so I was buying albums quite a while ago, like maybe 2015, and the demo tape called Morbid Metal, which is what the band refers to their sound, Morbid Metal. And that's what they called their demo. I just saw it and it was like $5 for the tape. So I'm like, fuck it. I just threw it in the cart with the other stuff I was buying. I bought it. Get it home, and I'm like, I knew nothing about them. Like, this is like right in my wheelhouse. This is like just the kind of metal I love. And I ended up, like I said, they're based in London. I ended up a couple of years later, I was going to be in London, unrelated. So I wrote to the guitarist. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be in town. Your band's fucking awesome. You want to get a beer? And he's like, sure, sure. So we ended up meeting up, getting a couple beers, and fast forward a couple of years, and now we're close friends. We talk bullshit all the time. Uh, actually, the last time I went to London a couple months ago, I crashed at his place. So
Oh,
World
cool.
of Metal is a cool place like that. Yeah. But that's why I want to say, even though like I know the people, I know the guitarist and I know the band, that's no influence on how good I think this album is. Like I would recommend this to anybody that's into like just proper underground evil fucking metal with zero reservations. Good songs. Every song in this is different. There's not like, man, it's like the same song 9 times in a row, which is a pitfall some of these bands fall into. These guys have a lot of variation. The time spent writing this album over the years was worth it because you could tell there was a lot of care and effort put into this, and it shows and it really pays off. So 10 out of 10 out of 10 out of 10 out of 10.
Wow. And why won't you say the guy's name? Is he like Candyman or Beetlejuice or something?
Oh, well, in the album and stuff, he's not credited to, it's just credited like almost anonymously.
Oh, so he doesn't.
You
Okay.
belong to another label?
No, nothing like that.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, I don't really know the reason. It's just because he's not credited. But like I said, if you're really into like a lot of underground, like this kind of metal, and you hear him sing,
You
he's
would
very
know.
distinct. I don't want to say he's like Attila from Mayhem, but to me, he has that same level of like immediately you hear him like, ah, that can only be one guy.
Okay.
Uh, the bands he's in are pretty obscure themselves, but you know, it's a
Cool.
challenge for the viewer. He sings on 2 songs on this, so he gets a lot of time at the mic.
All right. Alrighty. Moving on to Nicholas. Unmute.
Unmute myself. There we
There
go.
you are. There you are.
All right. So, and it's funny that I'm going now because, like Ryan was talking about, the bands that I'm going to talk about have synths and bombast and are introducing a lot of different uh, elements and instruments into their sound. But these bands do value what Ryan was talking about, which is important to have that very, very metal as fuck soul in the music. So, moving on, right on, I'm going to start with a band from Switzerland called Ungfell. Okay, and that's the cover there. Then this is their Ungfell. This is their 4th album, and the album is called De Gort, which is in a dialect. The whole thing is in a dialect of Swiss and German. And unfortunately, it was a little too much for Google Translate, so I don't have translated album song titles. Yeah, hold on, my dog is knocking.
Nice.
Your dog wants to talk about Unfilled.
It's like he knows.
He knows. It's like that Swiss black metal being discussed.
Yeah, well, no. Whenever I
in
start
this-
doing this format, he has to be in here. It's wild. Anyway, so this is a younger band formed in 2014 in Zurich, Switzerland, and basically the main composer is only known by a nickname, Manetikel, I guess. I'll give it a shot. He does have a guy drumming on this album and doing backup vocals, but Manetikel does vocals, guitars, bass, accordion, and synth. This young man here, because they are pretty young, I get the sense they're probably not, which is very exciting because, you know, a lot of, especially whether it's black metal or, you know, all of our music that we love is moving, you know, time is marching. And it's nice to see, you know, who's going to take up the torch when the Mayhems and Satyricons, you know, move on. Um, and obviously black metal has changed. Not everything has to be as patently extreme or unhinged as it used to be. I mean, these guys are just brilliant musicians, and this dude is in about 4 or 5 other bands. Together, the group of friends that are in this Swiss scene call themselves the Helvetic Underground Committee, and the music is all recorded in like their headquarters. I love this shit. So yeah, so you know, they're very serious. But one thing that jumps out at you when you listen to Ungfell is that you're getting. I could describe the music as intricate, but also a little bit rustic, but good production. You get everything from straight ahead black metal to songs with a polka beat in them, but not silly. If you're familiar with any of the popular folk metal that kind of peaked and crested about 15, 20 years ago now, it's not that. It's not meant to be, it's not silly music at all. It's very in depth. The concept of the album revolves around hunters in the Alpine Mountains from long ago, and them going off on a quest and coming into contact with a demonic goat creature called the Rollabach. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. So it's kind of a concept album, and each song builds towards them confronting this goat creature. You have some longer songs on here that they have interlude. They have not really interludes. They mesh the whether it's you're getting Hammond organ and some acoustic work on some of the songs, or you're getting more straight ahead black metal. You'll find something in here if you're into prog, if you're into really anything that, you know, this isn't like fire and brimstone black metal by any stretch. It's, you could call it black metal, but they do have some vocal like different vocal styles on here. It is in a dialect of a language, so you're not going to understand it anyway. But they provide the lyrics, and I would imagine it's a very, you know, if anything, it's a really fun story, really. Um, and it is mastered by a man called Greg Chandler of the band Esoteric, which prog metal people should be familiar with.
Yes.
Yeah, he's kind of a big deal. So this is out on Eisenwald Records, and it is just an absolutely, you know, they refer to themselves as Alpine mystical black metal, which I love the, you know, it's very creative, and it's very you can go back to this album a million times and find different nuances to it. It's got that little bit of evil to it, but it's really just a musician's album. But it never, as Ryan so artfully said, it never gets lost up its own ass. It's very entertaining. So that's the first one, Ungfell.
You know,
And then,
actually, it's funny you said that.
yeah.
This was also handled partially by Greg Chandler from Esoteric,
Oh, no shit.
who does, yeah,
Cool.
you're right, does fan-fucking-tastic work.
Oh, yeah.
He only mastered it. He didn't. It was different individuals recorded it and engineered it. But yeah, whenever his name comes up, when I hear his name in reference to
Yeah.
like any kind of production or any kind of recording, I'm like, because he is one of the he's fantastic.
Yeah,
He
I've heard
just has a
that
way of
was,
like capturing bands that really like brings their soul out, I feel.
yeah, absolutely. The classical instruments that they use in here are that, you know, they don't sound synthy. They sound very organic, and man, I tell you what, I can't get enough of it. And if you do want to go down the rabbit hole, every band that he's involved in is really special and really good and really creative and symphonic. And a lot of these guys are, I'd love to know if they have official musical educations, because they're brilliant. And it's great to see a younger generation like stepping in with unbelievable
Right.
skill and sincerity.
I gotta
Funny
check
you
it
use the
out.
word rustic, because as soon as that's the first word that comes to mind when I think of that band, is like it isn't like evil satanic black metal. It's like very
Right.
rustic and like naturalistic and like very focused on nature. It just has that feel to it, you know.
Yeah.
That
See,
sounds
look at them.
cool.
They're up there ready to go hunting. But
Through the
then
Swiss Alps.
then they run into the Rollerbach, and they're just running at that point.
Did they show the creature in there?
Oh, it's just on the cover. It's just like a
Oh,
goat
okay.
man. Yeah, it's like a goat man. And you know, again, I love great music. I love a great story, and I love a great folklore story. So, you know, they give
I hear
you.
you. That's why you're Iron Maiden fan. Because
Oh
they
my God, that's what captured me. There it is, right over
right
my.
on.
The
I see it right behind your head.
Yeah,
So
that you know that absolutely captures you when you're young, man. It's just, and then you know, for life, that's it.
yep, I hear you.
Um, yeah.
Nick, I
So
forget the
yeah,
I'm sorry to interrupt. The
no, no,
album cover was done by I'm gonna butcher this dude's names mercilessly. Matus S. Fuck.
at this as fuck.
Yeah, no, I'm just butchering this poor guy's name. But yeah, I love the cover on this because he did the same art. He did the artwork on the not the last, but I think the second to last Malacarpaton album from
Oh yeah,
Slovakia. And as soon as I
yep,
saw it, I'm like, man, this is like
yeah,
something
it's
you
cool.
see on a wall in
Yeah,
like an Eastern European inn like 100 years ago. It's so just it's so different and cool. And so
yeah,
I saw the artwork for this. I'm like, ah, that's my man. There he is. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
Right on.
it's got that classical art kind of.
yeah. A
Anyway,
real painting for real art. I mean,
it,
that's what it's all about.
it looks. I love it, and it fits the music very well.
Certainly.
Sounds
All
cool.
right.
And one of the cool things about the and also the second album I'm about to talk about. One
Well,
one
we can do
thing.
that in the second round, Nick.
Oh, we do that in the second
Whoa,
round,
whoa,
Nick.
Yeah,
slow
we're
down,
going down
buddy.
again.
Please.
I blame this. Okay, it's like liquid
What are you
cocaine.
drinking that for? You're gonna be pissing green.
Yeah, I know.
Drink coffee like
This late at
Yeah,
night
that's
too.
what we're doing here. With the Tranquility Cup, of course.
All right,
Nice.
then you're done for your first one.
I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. You know, I knew who was on the show tonight. I knew Ryan was coming. I knew Nick was coming. I'm like, I should not talk about the album I'm going to talk about because it's too much of a 180. You know,
That's
and
all
I
right.
was like,
Oh, that's
the hell
good.
with it.
That's good.
That's what makes this interesting.
It's so much
Yeah, I
of
like
a
that.
180. It's a 360 and then another 180. So,
Okay.
Hey,
720.
it's a
I
720.
mean, here's the thing. Pete likes to talk about pop music, but it's normally from the 70s, you know, with yacht rock and that kind of breezy pop music from then. I'm going to reel us
Oh,
in to the 21st century with pop music. And here we go. I'm going to talk about Dua Lipa. This chick is humongous. And I just kind of gotten into her late last year. Um, so I knew the one song from the Barbie movie. Terrible movie, awful movie. No, the message is fine. The movie's terrible, but the Dua Lipa had this one song from there. I'm like, that is a damn good pop song. I even put it on my Facebook. I said, this is what pop music should strive for. Something like this. I think I dabbled on one of her albums real quick, and it was like I didn't feel it, or I was in a bad mood, and I just didn't go back. But then I heard someone else bring her up, and I was like, all right, let me give this chick a try again. And I kind of got all in on her. Not like that. So Dua Lipa, born August 22nd, 1995, from London, England. What's her music style? Pop music. Fucking deal with it. And I'm going to have a point, 2 points I want to make at the end of this review. The album that just came out is Dua Lipa Live from the Royal Albert Hall, released December 6th in 2024 in the UK, but you couldn't get it here in the States until January 17th, 2025. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I know it's like trying to sell Bibles to atheists. All right. I know where I'm at, but I want to talk about it because I like it. So on this album, it's a live album and 53-piece orchestra, 7-piece band, 15 backup singers. So you're getting bombastic type music here. The percussion is out of this world. The strings almost give the music. Remember in the 70s how disco kind of had strings to the music? It kind of gives it that disco feel. This was televised on British TV, televised on CBS to 2.88 million people. But here's the funny thing. To me, when I found out about her, I would go to like people and go, hey, did you ever hear of this Dua Lipa chick? Because to me, I listen to all this underground stuff that when someone like a mega superstar comes into my musical world, I'm in underground mode, thinking nobody knows who it is. But yeah, she's pretty big. Another thing I like about this is when I listen to this live album, there's hits on here. I don't know what the hits are. I don't know what the deep cuts are. They're all equal to me because I don't listen to the radio, and none of them are like more worn out than other songs. They're all just even. And this chick can sing And these songs are, everyone knows that I like Pat Benatar quite a bit. If you listen to Tropico, her mid 80s albums, and you listen to Seven the Hard Way, this isn't that far of a stretch from that style of music. It's a step or two away, but it's not big steps away. So you could see somebody, it's like, oh, I like a few Madonna songs. This is like Madonna meets Sade. This is quality pop that I wish was there was more of this out there. Lady Gaga, I respect her, but I'm not listening to her. Taylor Swift is kind of boring to me. I like Miley Cyrus, what she's been doing the last 4 years, not her early stuff, last 4 years. This is on par with that, if not better. Songs, Houdini, so infectious. Love Houdini. Training season's over on here. Actually makes me give the devil horns. What you doing? The opening two words to that song. You know that you are down with this type of thing or not down with this type of thing with those two words. When she goes, after midnight, right there, I'm down or I'm not. Right there. Sucks you in or makes you want to puke. Sucks me in. So yeah, that my 2 points is, one of my points is, I hope the younger generation hears something like this. Real vocals, real band, real music, well-written songs, and then they go back to maybe one of their shitty albums, pop albums or hip-hop albums with auto-tune vocals, and I hope it sounds a little lifeless to them compared to this. I hope that. Another thing is, and she's a model too, and like an actress, so she's got all kinds of things going on. I'm very, very smitten. I would Dua Lipa at night. I would Dua Lipa in the morning, and then I'd call off work and Dua Lipa all fucking day long. I'm very smitten. So my other point is, I don't think it's not a guilty pleasure. I think you could listen to Def Leppard, first 3 albums, preferably. I think you could listen to Danzig's Lucifage. I think you could listen to Death's Leprosy, and you don't have to keep it on the down low that you like Dua Lipa. You can like it all. You can wear a Death shirt on Friday, and you could wear a Dua Lipa shirt on Saturday. There's no problem with that. Yeah, I got a shirt. I'm going to wear it this summer out on deck when I'm drinking beers by the pool and listening to Dua Lipa. It's all good. It's all good. So we won't call it the rock and roll report card. We'll call it the pop report card so nobody yells at me, rock and roll. Production, A-. Why a minus? Sometimes I wish the strings were a little more in the mix, but very minor complaint.
Call Phil Spector. He's on top of that shit.
Yeah. It does have that wall of sound feel. Songwriting, pop songs don't get better in 2025. This is it. A+. Musicianship. If you're in an orchestra, you get an A just for being in an orchestra. Done. Vocals, A. Why not an A+? Every once in a while, well, just a couple times, just for a moment, she goes into one of those modern day tropes vocally, but just for a minute, and then she's out of it. Thank goodness. Gives hope for the future of popular music. I don't have much hope for the future of popular music. I think in my lifetime, we'll be hearing auto-tune people singing songs written by AI computer program, or maybe even AI will be singing it themselves. I don't know. I don't have but it's trying its best. So A-, the minus just because I don't have hope, but A- because it's trying its best. So yeah, I got it. I got the CD, and I got the vinyl too. I'm all in. So something a little different. Give it a try. After midnight, right there. You're in or you're out.
Okay.
All right, Rick.
Okay, so 2025 had finally arrived, and I got lots of albums coming, and this one was out in January 25th, And when you pre-order it, not only this individual is a guitar hero of mine, but it not only came out, but you can get the download from it. And he signed it, and it's on its way. So I had to print out the album cover because it arrives in a couple of days from now. But it's Bumblefoot Return. So Ron Bumblefoot Thaw, great guitar player that I've been following, and I never knew, like, I gotta get them catching up because he has a couple of solo albums out there. But I got into him when I learned about, Sons of Apollo. I got him to sign it when I seen them in Toronto, and they would hang out in the backstage. Last year, they were at the Token Lounge in Westland, Michigan. I went across the border, and the band called Art of Anarchy, a great band, and he signed that. And I got to shoot the shit with them. And because Derek Sherinian had played on this album with them called The Whom the God Destroy, and he signed that one as well. Derek played on one of my tunes, so we had a lot to talk about. And so it was cool. I also saw him once performing with Yes and Aja and ELP Legacy, and he was the Aja guy doing the vocals, the John Wetton vocals, and playing guitar. And man, that guy can sing. So I'm a fan. I already liked him. I know his gateway was Guns N' Roses, and that wasn't me. I stopped following Guns N' Roses after Use Your Illusion 2 or whatever. And mainly because Axl Rose was a kind of a jerk. We had the Fate Warning, Metallica, and Guns N' Roses show at Pontiac Silverdome, Michigan, and he caused a riot in St. Louis because somebody wanted to take his photograph. So he's a big, warrant out for his arrest, and he was like an hour, over an hour late between Metallica and Guns N' Roses show, and he went and performed. If You Could Be Mine, and he was all pissed off because the piano didn't raise from the floor, that he sat down and sang the whole thing pouting. Then he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't take it out on you because we got a bad crew." And he did the song again, this time running around. So he lost a lot of points for me, and I stopped following. So I didn't know Bumblefoot because he went on to tour with them before they got the reunion. But I discovered him through Sons of Apollo. So I don't know, I've been Whip Van Winkle sleeping during that time. I didn't know he existed, but man, I did a lot catching up to because I really like him. He's the same age as Jamie and I, and I got to shoot the shit with him. He's not even a great guitar player, but he's a great person. So I was curious to what he could come up with, and I've been on his webpage, and I learned that he had this album coming out. So I said, "Oh, what the hell?" I signed it. He got one signed for me. It's on its way. And just like the album cover, it's got a sci-fi, it's an instrumental album. So if you know me, just because I'm a vocalist, I love guitar. I follow, Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, all the guitar greats, and I could buy an instrumental album. That's not an issue for me, right? I love it. This whole record is like that. But he had some special guests. Speaking of Steve Vai, he's on it, and Brian May is also on this record. So it's called Bumblefoot Return. And it's like a sci-fi soundtrack to a movie somewhat. In fact, if you're a gamer, you would picture this being a movie, the music behind a game that you're playing in some action game, because it's just like that. The peaks and valleys of energy and great guitar work and very original. A lot of guitar albums are, they scratching all the check boxes of certain sounds of music. It's very original production, the way it's being presented. And so it has that modern feel, sci-fi kind of sound. We got spaceships and all kinds of things that you would think like in a video game, but it's just really well written. So there's a couple, there's a lot of great tunes. There's 14 songs on there. The one that really stands out the most for me is the Brian May. It's the slowest one, and it got a kind of a bluesy feel to it called Once and Forever. But there's a lot of great ones. Montuoso with part 1 and part 2. Part 1 has Steve Vai. It's all kinds of tunes. The way it comes in, boom, heavy, like the Whom God Destroy kind of meat, comes in and blow your head off. But then it takes you into like a soundtrack of a film where it would, it has its peaks and valleys, and it's really an interesting record. I think he did a great job. In fact, some of it, I'm like, man, there's some great vocal opportunities that could have went on to this melodic, riffing and there's opportunity to have some great vocals. But you know what? It's so interesting as a guitar and all these passages and the way they arrange a song, it goes by really fast for me. And again, I don't have attention deficit, disorder because I can listen to albums and double albums or long songs. I'm just not one of those guys that hurry up, kick me to the chorus, or you're boring me. I'm not one of those guys. But this music is so adventurous that I enjoyed it quite a bit. I definitely would say 4 out of 5 for me, if not more. I'm only had it since, like I said, January 25th. So it's been playing all time till I was being prepared for this show. But I gotta say, I enjoyed it, and I think Bumblefoot showed why he's one of the great guitar works out there. Playing, making an album that's just dedicated to music, and man, the musicianship from all the guests that he has on the record, it's really good. You have to have high caliber people to compete with you anyway. I mean, you always have good bands. Every band he have is like the people are just as strong as the guitar player. So this album is no different. Everybody that's on it is got to be very good to be past the audition, if you will. So anyway, if you like guitar rock and you like guitar, got the metal, it got the the dynamic that you might looking for, but it's not all just shredding. It's just combination of great chord sequences that are interesting, and it's not predictable. I never know where he's gonna take the song. It's that kind of music. It's like I like it because it's so new to me, and it doesn't sound like anything he's done in the past, and it doesn't sound like something that he's copying. I can't even say he sounds like this. It's just that's how original it is. So if you like guitar and you like his past work, you won't be disappointed because Bumblefoot has returned.
I have Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can't remember where the hell I got it. I used it and then I replaced it with colored water, red colored
I was
water.
gonna say it's interesting.
Well, you must have liked it because you use it up.
Oh, I use up every hot sauce.
Yeah, I'm a hot sauce fan too. So anyway, I just say 14 tracks go pretty quick, but it really sums up who he is as far as a guitar player. And if you know his guitar, he has a double neck guitar he's famous for playing. You can hear that. I've seen him live just last year, and I can hear that guitar. I can just picture him performing the way he is. And not only he's a good dude, good person right to the core, he's very talented, and he's worth your time. If you like that kind of stuff, go get it.
Alrighty, Brian, what's your second album?
I actually met Ron Thal at a party once at Steve Keeler's house.
Really?
15 years ago. I don't know who obviously somebody brought him because he doesn't live in Middletown, New York. I don't remember who brought him, but they show up like, this is Bumblefoot from Guns N' Roses because that was his gig at the time. And I'm like,
yeah.
What's up, man? I'm like, that's very random. Like this guy just brings the at the time guitars from Guns N' Roses.
Right.
It's like a little 4th of July party in Middletown. Fuck off New York. But yeah, that's funny. All right, second band I'm going to talk about. We're going to go from London over to Detroit, Michigan. Detroit actually has a pretty cool underground metal scene these days. There's a lot of cool little bands happening in Detroit. I was actually there for the first time this past year. I loved it. Had a great time. Met a lot of the people in a lot of these bands. Everybody was fucking cool as shit. So this is a classic traditional metal band, and the band is called Demon Bitch. Demon Bitch. The album is called Master of the Games. And I also got the CD too because I do like buying CDs and vinyl. One of those people too. You can't stop. And if there's a tape, I'll probably buy the fucking tape too. Whatever.
Yeah.
So what does this sound like? So they formed in 2011. This is their second album. Their first album was in 2016 called Hell Friends, and they come out with this one 8 years later. This came out at the very tail end of November last year, so it's like about 2 months old now. It's on Cruz del Sur Records, I believe, from Italy. I want to say they're from Italy. I know it's a European label. So this is classic U.S. metal, loosely cut from the same cloth as Jag Panzer. Rick mentioned Fate's Warning. Definitely Fate's Warning. There's some of that going on in here. Omen, also a little bit of Omen. It has that U.S. metal sound, obviously being a U.S. metal band themselves. Very lively, very fast-paced. but not thrashy. It doesn't cross that threshold to go into like, well, it feels like thrash metal, you know.
Hmm.
Excellent dual guitars on this, and they just sprinkle the songs with like leads constantly, which I love in this kind of metal. You know, they do not hold back when it comes to this, throwing leads in all over the fucking place. Not like extended, like look at me solos, but like just quick little bursts of rapid fire lead guitar. Sometimes a little more adventurous, but often like, you know, 2 to 3 to 5 second leads in there, which I just love that. The guitarists on this are phenomenal, phenomenal. Dual guitars, the way they go back and forth,
I love that
excellent.
stuff.
Real, which I love in this kind of metal too. The vocalist. So I know Rich Catino and Pete do shows where they you know, they talk about like modern heavy metal bands, like the new wave of classic heavy metal. And there's a ton of them now. And one of the things that kind of holds me back from a lot of those bands, not that the bands are, you know, bad, but I just find like some of the classics, like the vocalist, like, you know, you listen to these classic bands like Fates Warning, you have John Arch, you have Jack Panzer, you have Harry Conklin, the Tyrant, you have Omen. My brain is fucking dying here, but someone's gonna mention in the comment, but the original vocalist of Omen is fantastic. And of course, you have Dio and Halford and Bruce Dickinson and all these guys, very iconic vocals, very bombastic, and like, you know, their like lung power is tremendous. And a lot of these newer bands, to me, like the vocalist, it's like not that they're bad, but they're very functional and often interchangeable. Well, not this guy. This guy by the name of Logan, this dude goes for it. He's very theatrical. He has soaring falsettos, very dynamic. He's all over the map, almost very, you know, like you know, fearless in a way that a lot of these newer heavy metal vocalists don't get. You know, he hits these really piercing highs, he comes back down, often within one stanza, you know, back and forth. It's almost like a little off-putting at first, not in a bad way, but you don't hear a lot of modern metal bands with vocalists that are like, wow, this guy's like, you know, he's fucking wearing his voice out in a very cool way. Uh, Speaking of, you know, Fates Warning again, he does remind me a little of like John Arch, has that same like, you know, power behind him, or Harry Conklin from old Jack Panzer too, another powerhouse vocalist with, you know, just, you know, you can almost feel like his chest like barreling up. You know, he's got so
J-
much power in with their album Ample Destruction from '84.
right,
Uh,
J.D. Kimball.
J.D. Kimball, yes, unfortunately passed away, I think, about 20 years ago. But yeah, J.D. Kimball on
Yes.
Old Omen, too. Just a great, very powerful, unique vocalist. And Jeff Tate's another one, you know, obviously old Jeff Tate in the early days had that same dynamic, unique power. So that's the kind of sound that this guy is able to pull out of his lungs.
Wow.
Phenomenal. And what else? You know, there's emphasis again on choruses. Great hooks. Like every song has a really cool hook. The song, it's like, oh, 4 minutes just went by. You're like, what the hell did I just listen to? You know, it doesn't register with you. Every song on here leaves a mark on you. There's a lot of variation in the songwriting, very dynamic songwriting. So to me, it's like when it comes to like a lot of these modern classic or retro, I hate to use the word retro, but you know, like new
I know
bands that
what you
have that
mean.
old sound. Uh, a lot of them to me, you know, not that they're bad, but I hear them like, okay, you know, next. These guys leave a mark. I love their debut album, and to me, this one might be even better. So yeah, if you do like Jag Panzer, if you do like Fate's Warning, I didn't
Yeah.
want to mention his name because it's very, you know, it immediately brings certain things to mind. But he does kind of remind me of King Diamond a little bit in his approach, and the music kind of reminds me of King Diamond's solo stuff in the fact that it's speedy and very instrumentally robust, but not thrash metal. But you know, it's fast, so you kind of have that feel to it. And then, of course, the UK band Satan has the same thing too, because Satan has very fast-paced songs, extremely competent guitar players that are very good at interplaying, but it doesn't ever delve into like thrash metal. You know, it kind of keeps it in that classic metal realm, but like very fast tempos. And these guys kind of mine that same field without sounding like any of those, because it is a pretty unique sound. And again, I'll give them a lot of credit for that. So between having their own identity, not being afraid to kind of have these robust, interesting compositions, and a vocalist that's just as, you know, like a fucking firecracker. I would give this a 10 out of 10 too. This is a phenomenal album.
Wow.
And from 2024, I'd probably say this is my favorite, like, classic heavy metal album, you know.
Great cover
Uh,
too.
what's up?
That's a great cover.
Great cover too.
Yeah, the cover's really cool.
And you said they're from Detroit, right?
They are from Detroit, and these guys play in well, the guitar. So one of the guitarists, his name is Derek. He plays in a few Detroit bands. He plays in another one called the White Magician, who are much more of like a Wishbone Ash, Blue Oyster Cult, Ashbury kind
Mhm.
of sound. Very cool, awesome guitarist, very very good. Plays in a couple extreme metal bands too. Really gets around. And of course, I love that in the artwork. They're not afraid to do like swords and cloaks and hoods and stuff. You got to go if you're gonna do it, go all the way. Don't
Gotta go all the way, right?
don't dip a
Well, next
toe.
time
Just
you're in
fucking dive
Detroit,
in.
let me know. I'd like to
Yeah,
check it out.
it's cool. It's a great album. Yeah, if you like great musicianship, very competent, but in the service of good songs. And just if you like classic, like old school heavy metal that makes you put your fist in the air and just does everything right and feels good, I can recommend this very, very highly. So Demon Bitch, Master of the Games, is a 10 out of 10 out of 10 out of 10 out of 10. Again,
Nice. I sampled their music while you were talking for about 10 seconds, and everything that you described in his voice, I heard in that 10 seconds.
it's he's a great vocalist and should get a lot of credit and attention for really having a unique style and just being fucking good at what he does.
All right.
When
Honestly.
you saw them, were they the headline act or were they just an opening act and you were impressed?
Ah,
How did it go?
unfortunately, I didn't. When I went to Detroit, it was for something else. So I haven't seen these guys yet.
Oh,
I've seen
okay.
some of their other bands, but I'm hoping to see. They don't play a lot of shows. They do. They're very selective on which shows they play. As far as I know, they've never played the East Coast, and they do play shows in Detroit and that surrounding area. But it's like just a couple shows a year. Like they don't do tours or anything. Now maybe that this album's out and it is getting some attention from like within that crowd. Maybe that'll change. Maybe we will see them in New York or elsewhere. But I'd love to see them absolutely, and they do play live, but it has not happened yet.
All right. All right, Nick, I know you were waiting. Get that second one in.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, and Derek from Demon Bitch is a really nice guy. I met him a number of times. Good dude. Yes. So, as I was gonna tie together, I was saying one of the things with my choices is that they are from the realm of black metal, but they are probably a much more wider appeal than you might expect. And there was actually a greater point I was going to make, and it has slipped my mind. So,
That's why I wrote everything down.
yeah, wow. No, I just had the thought while we were talking. But anyway, oh, I know what it was. Both of the bands I picked sing in their native tongue or a dialect of their native tongue. And I was thinking how that used to not be a thing so much years and years ago because I think bands still like they hoped to like break into the American market and all that stuff. But with underground metal now, I think everybody realizes nobody's making a living off this. So it lets them just be that much more authentic to their own culture and tongue and all that stuff. So we have that going on again with a band from Sweden called Hexkapell. Make sure you remember that logo because it's so readable. No.
I can read that.
Yeah, more readable than some.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's a beautiful logo. So Hexkapell means witch chapel in Swedish. This band was formed in 2015 in Norrbotten, Sweden, near in a place called Haparanda. And the way we'll if you can picture where Stockholm is in Sweden, this is about 11 hours north of Stockholm. So this is way, way up in like northern Sweden, wilderness mountains. And that kind of atmosphere of living there is absolutely felt on their second album. And I'm just going to give you the English translation. It is of the blood of the earth and the grip of the graves. And obviously it's in Swedish, but we won't bother trying to Duolingo ourselves through that. Yeah, but it is this album came out on January 17th, only what, over a little over a week ago. And I've listened to it a bunch of times, and it's going to be up there in albums of the year. I think there's some stuff coming out this year that's from, for example, Amorphous is in the studio, and we all know how much I love them. But right now, I keep coming back into this album, and it's just absolutely stunning. So the main songwriter is a man called Yanni. He calls himself Oraklet, which means the Oracle. And Yanni's about 45 years old. He's been in a lot of bands. Namely, he's been in a band that people probably haven't heard of called Sons of Crom, which is like this more like Man-O-War, Kirthungal kind of like traditional metal kind of band. So he's been all over the map with that kind of stuff. This is a black metal project. He handles the engineering. Well, I think he helped with that. It was produced and mixed at Nordvis, and that is the label it is on, Nordvis, which has a lot of really creative, really epic, like paganistic, like, you know, sort of earthy black metal that I guess would be similar to the other band I talked about, Ungfell. And Yanni performs the vocals, the guitars, the bass, the keyboards, and I believe he has a somebody played drums on it. And what I can say about this, it was done up at Necromorbis Studio, which people who have heard of the band Watain will know about. One thing that jumps off the page with Hoxcapel is the guitar solos that this guy comes up with on these songs absolutely would not be out of place in like an 80s metal band, but not with the like the twirly twangy kind of stuff. They're really creative guitar solos and he intersperses them beautifully. Um, this album is more just simply about like, death leading to rebirth and it's simple, large terms like that. I don't think it's much of a concept album, but it 100% just it is absolutely engrossing. You'll find along with the typical guitar, bass, and drums of the old of our typical heavy metal makeup, you will find they use violin, viola, the willow flute, and the hand drum. And what I love about it is the violin. I can't tell between violin and viola. But whatever it is, the stringed instrument, it it isn't like existing outside of the spectrum of the music where you're like, oh, now it's a violin part. It's really worked in beautifully. And sometimes the guitars will follow that melody, sometimes it'll go off on its own. Um, but it absolutely and Rye, I sent you this band and you said within 10 seconds you were like, it's a Franco band without a doubt, because you heard those stringed instruments.
Second I
Um,
heard it, I'm like, if I heard that band first, I would have sent
yeah.
that to you like overnight express. I'm like, you would have
Yeah.
loved this band.
Ryan is
So
better
the
at finding
violin is
bands.
in unison with the guitars, you're saying?
Yeah, some like I mean, again, I'm not, you know me, Rick. I'm not a musician at all, but like sometimes it's in unison, but it's always like it always feels like an integral part of the song
Right on.
and not like some, oh, here comes a violin solo. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like where it's
Yeah, I
like
know
we're
what you mean.
putting this
It's not
in.
a layer, it's actually part of the production and arrangement.
Yeah, dude, this guy is brilliant. Like I gotta say, this album I think it would appeal to prog fans, death metal fans, black metal. Like as long as you can, I mean, it is a harsh vocal, but the vocals are not overpowering, which I like, and I think people who are less inclined to be into extreme metal will agree. And there's also some variation in the vocals. It's not constant screaming.
The production, when you send it to me, the production is like very rich and vibrant. Like it doesn't
Oof,
have that harsh, like tinny black metal sound. It's very full. It's like the
yeah,
sound field is very full, and
yeah,
the drums are very like rich and natural. Have that like deep resonance to them. So it
yeah.
does. It sounds really fucking good, honestly.
Yeah. Well, right, that guy Torre Sternia, you know him? He from Mechanova Studios. I think he's done a lot of like I didn't research this, but I think he's probably produced a lot more like maybe In Solitude. I
I
gotta
know the
look it up.
studio. Like a lot of bands have gone to the studio. You mentioned Watain, and Watain's albums always sound really good, like very
Yeah, like these
professional and like
guys, yeah, and I think everyone realizes like these bands, as extreme as they, come off, like these are metal musicians and rock musicians that grew up with the right listening and learning the right influences, and it really shines through. The second song, Metamorphosis, is more like straight ahead, but other than that, like I mean, they have one like acoustic song where he like kind of whispers or talks over it, but the rest of it is it's kind of proggy and really really deep and intricate. And I gotta say, wow, I'm blown away. I have the first album, I have it on vinyl, and it was very good. And you get so much music so fast, sometimes it falls underneath the wayside a little bit, and that happened. And then they came out with a new one, and I was like, holy shit, yeah. I mean, I can't believe it's only their second album, but the composer is very busy with other stuff too. So I definitely recommend this beautiful piece of very spiritual, blackish, folkish metal from the extreme north, like where Santa Claus lives north.
All right.
above
And
the
Ryan,
Arctic Circle.
What's
Ryan,
that?
your music scout.
Oh yeah, you're gonna say I'm better at what, Nick? Better at finding hot dogs or something?
No, I was gonna say that you're better at finding bands for me than I am.
Yeah.
Like the dude has handed me just, oh, Nick, by the way, here, like he's eating at a table and he's like, oh, here, throws me a scrap. Ooh. and like I'll go and spend $500 on that scrap. Like you found some of my favorite bands, like just because I don't think you do. You wake up and you're researching bands. It's like unbelievable.
That's
It's
awesome.
great.
That's why he's on the review queue.
There's
Yes.
there's
Yeah.
yeah, I do spend a lot of time.
Yeah.
But like, I know what you like. So if like I heard that band, I'd be like, this is obviously like, it's a great band, but I know like this would be your thing. 100%.
Yes. And I can't do it back to you because you already have what you like. You already know. Like I'll send you something so obscure. I'll be like, right. You're like, oh yeah, I have their demo and three.
That's my cross to bear, unfortunately.
Yeah, I just had lunch with the triangle player.
That's a rarity.
Oh, what did you rate it, by the way?
Oh yeah. Out of what are we doing? Out of like 5?
Whatever
Well,
you want.
you
Whatever
got
you
10, I
want.
do 5, but
Top marks. Top marks.
okay, cool. Right on.
Yeah, and the other one I'd give like 4.5 out of 5. It's just about perfect. But
Right
yeah,
on.
this one, perfect.
Spreading the word, spreading the word. Yeah,
Right on.
I'm always looking for new music too. I'm always on YouTube, and I, give it a no, no. Oh, this one may see. Oh no, 666 Mr. Doom. I'm always on that YouTube channel. Always got some interesting things they're posting, some doomy shit and sludgy shit. This next band I'm going to talk about is a little known band I found on 666 Mr. Doom. I think that's what it's called. I always get the name fucked up. This band is called Fish Basket. Weird name, I know. They're from Poland, formed 2015. Now, what do they play? A lot of genres mixed into some overall laid-back music. I did add the last second instrumental. This is instrumental music. The album is called Fish Basket, and his second album. So this is his second album. I thought it was a band. I don't know.
That's the name of it? Fish Basket and his second album?
Fish Basket and his second album right there. And there's a fish playing guitar, I think. Is the fish playing? No, the fish is holding the album. And then the fish is holding the album and the fish is holding you got the Pink Floyd Amagama thing going on.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
already going to listen to this. I'm already going to listen to this.
So released January 17th, 2025. So it is laid back music. All right. The first song is cool because it's the most upbeat and it's got chanting in it. Really cool chanting in it. So what does it sound like? Well, I could sit here and talk about it, but I happen to have a fish basket on me with some fish in the basket. So I thought,
What's going on here?
just describe where is he going? I know where I'm going. So I thought instead of just describing all the genres, we get a little wacky here. Now, the album was mixed at Nebula Studio. So I thought we'd take all the genres and remix the album. Oh,
Uh-oh, here we
this
go.
is the studio.
Something's going on here.
Hold on.
Something fishy going on.
Something fishy is going on.
Something very fishy is going on. So, if each fish was a genre, you get in this music, instrumental, laid back kind of music, get a little world music. All right, that's your chanting. So we'll put a little world music in the studio here.
All the viewers, are is he going to drink that when it's done?
Oh,
Get a little jam band music in here. So you're getting some some laid back fish in the music.
I
Prog.
sampled.
Get some prog in here. You got a little prog in this music. Ooh, that one bit me. But the base of it kind of is
Oh,
stoner rock. So the bass with all this other stuff.
you just took a
Really
bad thing and
milking
made
it
it evil.
now.
Now it's evil.
Stoner rock.
Oh,
That's outright demonic.
but
They used to exercise people for this hundreds of years ago.
but
They called a priest already. Nick's
So
like, I'm
where's all your
hungry.
Glad that we can only hear him, not smell him.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's
he's
good.
gonna
yeah.
summon the Rollabach from this other album.
Oh, he's gonna come to that wall.
You're gonna summon the goat creature.
Now-
I thought you were gonna add other stuff. That guy is just milk and fish.
Oh my
Now, a
god.
Make
lot
sure
of
that's on
you are
tight.
going, please don't do it, but you're also
Make sure
saying,
that's on tight.
"Oh, you got to do it." Now, I did no trial run on this. I don't know how this is going to turn out. But so far, you got what we got. We got World, we got Prague, we
And Jam.
got, Jam Band, and we got
Stoner.
Stoner Rock.
You got a lot of flavor going on there.
A lot of flavor. So let's. So,
There's no way you're gonna drink that.
Oh,
on that fish. I'm not drinking that, and I wouldn't drink it anyways. So there is most of the genres. So, oh my God, we'll take this out.
That's gotta smell interesting.
Smell fishy. Now what you do is you take those genres,
Uh-oh.
put it in your glass.
oh.
I'll eat anything on the planet, and I wouldn't drink that.
Oh man.
Put this
Right.
over here.
I've had some interesting meals.
But it ain't over, guys. You get a little. Hold on. There's a little jazz in the music. You got to top it off with a little
That
jazz.
could be anything.
That's a whipped cream too.
Ooh. That is demonic. That's more demonic than any band we talked about. Say that.
It's a milkshake.
And just a dash of ambient.
Yeah, it's a milkshake. Yeah, sure.
Your milkshake brings all the
dash of ambient music.
Milkshake brings all the serial killers to the yard.
yeah. Your milkshake brings all the genres to the yard.
And here is your turntable or CD. I got the vinyl coming in the mail.
Is that a paper straw?
You got to drink it now after the setup.
Sure.
You got to drink it.
I am not drinking. There's paint. I put paint on those fish. I'm not drinking.
Oh,
Jamie,
okay.
Jamie,
All
you
right.
need to go to the nearest diner right now and just wait till somebody gets a milkshake and just switch it out when they're
Now
not
you gotta
looking.
put it back in
Right.
the fish basket.
I mean, it looks in person. It looks like a blueberry milkshake.
No, that'll kill you. Yeah,
Oh, it'll kill you.
that'll definitely put you in the grave.
So
You're
that's
like that goat on the
what
front
it
of the
sounds
Doomville.
like.
That's what it sounds like.
Let's
I
go to
listen
the
to-
report card, though.
Jamie, real quick, I sampled a little bit of it on mute before, like you were doing, and
Right.
you know what popped into my head? Like some of Devin Townsend's zanier moments, like on Infinity and stuff like that. I heard a little bit of that
Okay.
influence.
So it sounds like a fish shake.
At times, there's a little noise rock in it, just for a
Yeah.
second.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. But that would have been another $11 for another fish. So I left that.
I don't think you would have finished the blender either. You have to clean the shit out of that blender now. You
Oh,
have to-
I know. It's a blender we
Rubbing.
don't use much. So the rock and roll report card, production of B, solid production, songwriting C. This isn't about the songs, it's about layering the instruments and
The mood,
creating
right?
a mood and all the different
The
genres.
vibe.
Musicianship, B minus, nothing too crazy going on. At times you're like, oh, that's cool. B minus. Vocals, there's no vocals. The chances I reviewed this album just to attempt a dumb bit, definitely A plus. Definitely A plus. The only reason I reviewed this album is so I could make a fish milkshake. So I thought that would be funny.
No offense, Nick. I'd probably still drink that than a Monster Energy. No
Oh,
offense.
it'd be close.
What's wrong with you, bro?
You can
What's the matter,
take
bro?
that drink and bring it to the monster den too.
Yeah. Come on, bro.
If there wasn't paint on that fish, you would have tempted me to take a sip.
Yeah, once you said paint, I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
I was
we don't
wondering
want
how
you
you wrote
drinking
it on
lead.
Yeah. Got a little paint.
Not drinking no paint.
So singles real quick. Curious Ruminant by Jethro Tull is out there. Interesting. The last two Jethro Tull albums, I wish I liked them more. I think this new one's gonna have less singing, which might be a good thing. The Doobie Brothers have a new album out, or new song out called what is it called? Walk the Road? Walk. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, the album isn't out yet. That's
Yeah.
it's a single so far, right?
Yeah, it's fucking too blurry and I can't see it and it's not down here and I forget what it's called, but it's with Mavis Staples. It's okay, just a basic blues kind of song. But Michael McDonald's on it too, which is
Yes, he's back in the band. Yeah.
yeah. I don't think he's on every song on the album, but he's on that song at least. Big Change by Neil Young. it's got a lot of spirit, a lot of energy. I just think the song is lacking. Stitches. You guys ever listen to Pigs, 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 Pigs?
I
Kind of
know the name because
noisy hard rock band. It's okay. And then I added this at the last second because it dropped, and I listened to it while I was walking my dog. Def Leppard has a single out today, well, yesterday, called "Cover of Stand By Me." I was like, well, I'll listen to it as I drive my dog to the park. And I got to say, it's okay. It stays true to the original. It's got a lot of strings, nice strings to it. And Joe Elliott's voice sounds all right. Will I ever listen to it again? Fuck no. But for the 3.5 minutes, it was a nice listen. So there's your singles. And don't forget to come over to Let's Get Physical, my Facebook page that has everything to do with physical media. So come on over there. Anybody else have anything they want to add? Or are we out of here?
nah, nobody can top the fish milkshake, in my opinion. So that's all I got.
That was the most expensive fucking milkshake I've ever made in my life. So, guys, don't forget to check us out on www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together. All the damn
Oh,
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Hit the notification bell so you get notified as content as it drops, and smash that like button. I made a fish milkshake. We got the Ko-Fi link, so click on that, become a member, and we got the merch page, so you can buy yourself a hat like that, or a T-shirt, or a mug. Look at the mug, so you can drink fish milkshakes out of that mug, and the Cameo page. Give Pete some money, and he'll take you out for fish milkshakes. Just the two of us. One big fish milkshake, and you guys can have a straw with the two, and you guys can stare at each other in the eyes as you drink.
I don't know if he will. I don't know if he will.
So until the next review crew, it's going to be all Ohio people on the show, and we're going to review Ohio albums by Ohio artists and
Oh,
bands.
cool.
So that'll be fun. So until next time, guys, with that new crew and different reviews, I'm Jamie for Nick and Ryan. And Nick, we're out.